Hey, it's Monica here. I just got back from what I was calling the trip of a lifetime, an epic family travel adventure, the dream family trip, and I want to share what actually happened. It was everything that I wanted. It played out the way that I wanted, but it was also just not what I was expecting. And okay, just to kind of fill you in, like we just got back about 10 days ago from this epic family trip. This, what I thought was going to be, naively kind of like the perfect multi generational family trip. It was 3 weeks long. It was my parents, who are both in their mid 60s, seniors, and my two kids that were 3 and 5. I was solo parenting the whole time. My husband stayed behind with our 15-year-old dog. We don't leave her alone very often anymore. And yeah, okay, it was a tall order to think everything was going to go smoothly the whole time. But I keep kind of asking myself, why didn't it feel the way that I thought it would? And there were moments that felt beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong. It was there. The good moments stay with me a lot. But there was also this other layer that I wasn't quite expecting. And, if you're new here listening or you've been around for a while, you know that I talk all about slow family travel, present travel, mindful travel, how to be more connected and go below that surface level when you are traveling as a family. And I deeply believe that travel is a way to learn and really work on your relationships within your family, strengthen them, and just get more fulfillment out of everyday life, really, from travel. It's such a potential opening experience for everyone. So I take travel very seriously. I feel like there's a lot to it. Um, and so, you know, I still believe that, but this trip was me practically putting together a tall order and really seeing how it feels. And I've done a lot of multi-generational travel before. I've taken my kids on some pretty epic longer travel adventures in the past. So I'm not a newbie to this, but this one was, I would say, the longer one, and also being a solo parent, and I had some dynamics in there as well that I was working part of the time. So, okay, so what did we do? We took a transatlantic flight from Norway to New Jersey. We took two 20-hour road trips. We did a road trip from New Jersey down to Florida, and then Florida back up to New Jersey at the end. And we also, my whole family was with me while I was hosting a family retreat with Wander Wild Family Retreats over the first weekend of April. So they got to be guests at the retreat, but I was also putting on the hat of mom and working. And we stayed near Disney in Orlando, and we went to Disney a few days, and yeah, I think that's kind of the main stuff we did. So it was it was a lot, but there was also a lot of space. I mean, over 3 weeks, we had a lot of space to kind of let things ebb and flow. Um, so okay, so what do I want to share with you? I want to share mm, I guess I've kind of broken this down into contrasts. Like, what are the things that I was trying to get out of the trip and what actually kind of happened? So for me, when I plan trips, a lot of it is nostalgia, like being that I have kids that are growing up in another country and were born in Norway, versus, I'm from New Jersey. So a lot of my trips, I think about nostalgia. Where did I learn things about myself growing up? Where did I have these core memories? And I want them to also experience some of that. So when we came to New Jersey, we were there for on the tail end of both sides, and they were experiencing those very like basic, simple things that I did growing up all the time. Like, we went fishing at the lake. We went to the diner. We went to the local library and checked out books. We went to the local farm and fed the horses. Like, we had cousins come over, extended family, and even just like snuggling up in my childhood bedroom and the three of us sharing the bed and just being in my childhood home, playing outside in the yard at the swing set, that kind of stuff. So that part was really nice and those nostalgic moments. There were other parts of the trip too, from us stopping in Chickasaw, Virginia. I remember seeing those wild horses on the beach and thinking how cool that was, how wild and untamed that felt. And so that was part of our road trip. We stopped there. That was a really beautiful part of the trip. And I have a lot of moments from Disney too that are nostalgic because my grandma was a cast member in Disney World for over 2 decades. And we spent a lot of our childhood going and visiting her in Orlando and visiting her in the park. So for me, there's a lot of memories there as well. And my grandma is not with us anymore. So there's a lot of nostalgia there with just like remembering her and the role that Disney and I have kind of a I don't know, I have an interesting relationship with Disney. As I get older and have evolved in my perspectives of things, I there's things with Disney that I'm not always a fan of. I do think there's a lot of distraction, messaging, um, consumerism that's not so great, but they also have developed some really incredible characters that kids can relate to and help them process different emotions and pieces of life. And so it's kind of like, yeah, I'm sure you understand. There's a tug and pull with it. And just kind of like some boundaries with it. So anyway, that was the nostalgia and reality part. And in reality, things are just gonna continue to happen just if I was parenting here in everyday life. Like we were on a different time zone, so there was a lot of waking up very early in the morning, and some tired days, some difficult parenting moments, feeling like I don't really ever get any time to just be with myself and be present because I'm always on. And I was also, even more than that, the bridge between the generations of now my parents are seniors, my kids are, kids, and I'm really the anchor, the one in the middle holding it all together, the glue. So, you know, there's that. Um, okay, another contrast. Slow versus overstimulating. Slow moments were great. Chickasaw, Virginia, they have some really incredible walking paths and biking paths for families that go down all the way through. They meander through the trees. You see the wild horses on the beach. You can go to the beach and explore. We found a lot of really cool, like horseshoe crab shells, that we collected and brought some home with us. Um, we also stayed at this really incredible family-owned hotel called the Refuge Inn, and I'm gonna link that here in case you're interested. They just had this really beautiful, like it just had good vibes there. Everyone that was traveling there just was really friendly. Like it just had good vibes. And we went in the pool. The pool was surrounded, it was like in a greenhouse and there were plants like all over the place. And it was just so like, I don't know, it was just so cozy. It was just like those little moments of just like hanging out in the pool, bopping around and laughing. Loved those moments. And then there were a lot of overstimulation driven moments. The travel piece, which it's really hard to change that. I mean, going on an 8+ hour flight with two very active kids, it's difficult for them to stay still that long, and keep them entertained. And, it's also difficult for them to stay in a car for 20+ hours twice, not even once, but twice. And obviously, Disney going into Magic Kingdom was very overstimulating when we live a very simple nature-based life in Norway. We're not used to having crowds of people and long lines and just a lot of lights and things to absorb. It was a lot. It was so that was stimulation. And then the other contrast I would say was like the togetherness piece. I really love spending time with my family because I don't get to see them very often, and I am very much a homebody. Like I grew up spending a lot of time with my family, and just not even my parents and my sister. My sister's my best friend. My parents, I choose to spend time with them every time I travel. Um, but, I also was really close with my aunts and my uncles and my cousins. So that to me is really important when I get to have that togetherness time. But there was a contrast as well to also holding it all together. Uh, yes, like we were staying with my uncle in Florida part of the time, and that was really nice to wake up in his house every day and have breakfast. I'm really close with him, so it's nice for my kids to just spend time with him and just kind of like chat and really just not really have too much of an agenda. Um, and Yeah, that part was great, but then there was also this underlying theme for me to be holding it all, because I'm kind of like I've been passed the torch to me to really plan the trips now that my parents are older and they're coming along for the ride. And so I'm always thinking ahead to what does everyone want to do today? What will feel good for everybody? Everyone's level of fitness and movement and what they like to eat is different. What they envision the day feeling like, and the moods are different from everybody, and even the grandparents, and even my mood. So, it's not like you can ever really switch off. You're together, and that part is really great, and that's what I wanted, but also I'm always feeling on. So I wasn't just on the trip, I was really holding it together. I guess that's how I felt. Um, yeah. So then I've been thinking about, like, what are the most meaningful moments of this trip? And I keep going back to 3 different points. Which is funny that no 3 of them aren't, like, related to a specific activity or, like, some really cool photo we took. They're actually all related to the people that I was around, which is, actually not too surprising knowing me, but, um, yeah, I've been saying this for years that the travel really does depend a lot on who you're sharing it with, and the experience that you get out of it is really who you're sharing it with. And I learned that from years of also just solo traveling and not finding as much joy from it as I thought that I would, going to these exotic places and not really having anyone to share it with. So anyway, I will share these three moments that I just kind of keep coming back to. So the first one is actually was at our family wellness retreat with Wander Wild. Yes, I was working that weekend, but yes, my parents and my kids were there, and they did get to experience some of the retreat. And this specific night, we did a night walk, and we were just kind of listening to all the animals quiet down for the night. It was dark. We had flashlights. The whole group was going for a walk down to the river and back again. And it just had this very, like, for me anyway, it felt really magical. Everybody was just chatting with each other. Um, it just felt like we were all supposed to be there that day. And I was saying going into this retreat, I was like, I just feel like this retreat is important for all these people to be together. I can't really say why, but I just feel like everyone is going to get something meaningful out of it that they need. And so I hope that they all left with what they needed. But I can't speak for everybody, but I felt like in that moment, just everybody felt like one family. Everybody felt like there was this sense of camaraderie and coming together and a community, and purely felt like a village at that moment. Like you hear online all the time, a village, a village, a village. And our retreats give a little glimpse into that village, and we try to continue it as you leave, but you have those moments of really feeling like everyone's got your back. And it was so cool. Like, my daughter was holding hands with another mom and singing her song, and then I was holding hands with another little girl and her parent, and we were walking along and chatting, and Like everybody was just kind of looking out for each other's kids, and there was this real like feeling of we didn't all know each other a couple days earlier, but everyone just really felt so comfortable to share that time together. There was a lot of laughter and kids running and giggling and just kind of being in nature. It was so simple. This walk down to the river and back, and it was a simple activity, but it was also exactly what we want our retreats to be, exactly what I dream them up to be is that time to slow down, be present, look around, connect with nature, and connect with the people around you. And it was just like, yeah, if everything else doesn't go smoothly the whole trip, this just feels like, and I had to work during it, and this is like what my work is about. So that felt really good to be a part of and for my kids to be a part of too. Um and then the other 2 were related to my parents actually, because again, I always kind of think back to like who I'm traveling with. I felt like it was really important for me to do this trip with them. I knew my daughter Mahira is starting grade school this summer, and it's going to be more difficult for us to get these longer periods of time to travel and do things with them. And so there's obviously, like, things with the generation before us and the way that they parented and the way that they lived, and, um, I'm doing things really different than how my parents did. I've had a lot of again, if you're new in the space or you've been around, I've had a lot of things changing in my life over the past couple years. I've left a corporate career that was in my degree in petroleum engineering that my parents paid for, and so they're kinda like, not always the happiest about that. And they see that my parenting style is different from how they parented. And um, yeah, maybe I'm a little bit, I don't know if I want to say like loosey goosey, but I really let my kids spread their wings and with some boundaries, right? But it's just sometimes they can be they both have very big personalities, and I let them express that. And so they have different personalities than my sister and I did, and they move through the world in a different way. So anyway, we have some friction here and there. I do have a really good relationship with my parents, and I choose to spend time with them whenever I can. And I always have always been such a homebody. But anyway, um, like we had some breakthroughs during the trip, and I think they're a bit personal. Maybe I won't share both of them, but I had a breakthrough with both of them on the trip and individually. I had a breakthrough individually with each of them during the trip that I felt like really brought us closer. There were 2, I think they both actually were surrounding around like 2 tough parenting moments for me where I really was vulnerable and just um sharing, I can't hold it together all the time, and then they stepped into their into mama and papa bear mode and really held me for a minute, and I think it did bring us closer. Um, so that was really oh my god, okay. Yeah. So that was really nice. And those are things that I continue to think about as the moments from the trip. And so, all right, what are my reflections? What am I sharing from this? The moments that stayed with me weren't the ones that took the most effort. The simplest parts of the trip felt the best, and not everything needed to be made special. I feel like the moments that like I said, like the simplest moments were the ones that are staying with me the longest. So, if you've ever come back from a trip feeling like it didn't fully translate to the vision that was in your head, or like you need a vacation after the vacation, I've been there, I get it. And I am trying to still process this trip, and there are parts of it that I didn't fully understand until after we got back. And I want to talk about it more in the next episode. So if you're listening to this one, the next one I'm really going to talk about where I can go from here in our next family trip because I want to continue to do this. I'm not like, oh, I'm giving up. Um, and so if travel feels like this for me, I need to crack the code. I need to crack the code and get this to feel good for others. So thank you so much for listening today, and stay tuned to the next episode where I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the next time around what I might be doing differently, um, what I'm thinking to do differently, and Um, what else? Oh, so yeah, so I also do wanna let you know that we have a mom and child retreat coming up this summer and also this winter. We host seasonal retreats in upstate New York. The summer one is July 6th through the 9th. The winter one is February 12th through the 15th, and they both have a couple spots left right now, so you can still sign up for those. And why come? Because of a lot of the stuff I was just sharing in this episode. And so, that's my job. I take that weight away from you and I take it on me and I want it to feel as turnkey as possible. As you can see from my own travel reflections, we can't take everything. You're still going to be parenting. There's still going to be things that come up with self-reflection and self-development. I think you're still gonna be, going through the normal everyday's ebbs and flows of life, but we do for the most part take away that mental load that you usually are hanging on to on a trip. So um yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that for today, but thanks for listening. And if you want to connect, feel free to send me a message on Instagram at Wanderwild Family Retreats, or feel free to email me at hello@wanderwildfamilyretreats.com. All right, till next time.